Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Council Chamber in Grimsby Town Hall. Thank you for joining us this evening for the first Facebook Live for myself and my fellow Cabinet members for North East Lincolnshire. I'm Councillor Philip Jackson. I'm the leader of the Council, and I'm just going to introduce my colleagues. Next to me, Councillor Stuart Swinburne, who has responsibility for housing, infrastructure and transport. Next to him, Councillor Margaret Cracknell, who has responsibility for children and education. At the end of the table, Councillor Henry Hudson. He has responsibility for environment and net zero. Across the other side of the table, Councillor Stephen Harness. He's responsible for finance, resources and assets. Next to him, Councillor Hayden Dawkins, responsible for culture, heritage and the visitor economy. And sitting opposite me, Councillor Ron Shepherd, who's responsible for safer and stronger communities. Not with us this evening, unfortunately, is Councillor Stan Shreve, who has responsibility for health, wellbeing and adult social care. Now, in addition to my responsibilities as leader of the council, I also look after the economy, regeneration, evolution and skills. So thank you very much for all the questions that you've submitted before the event. We have had a lot of questions and they're continuing to come in. We will try and prioritise this evening the questions that are coming in live, but it's unlikely during the time we've got that we'll be able to get through all the questions. So any that we aren't able to answer tonight, we'll make sure we get a response to you within 7 days. There may, of course, be questions that come in live this evening that we won't know the answer to. Maybe we don't have the detail to be able to give you an answer. So again, we'll tell you that and make sure you get some sort of response within the next week. So with that, I think we're heading into the first question.
Thank you very much, Leader. And we'll start now with the first question that came into us when we announced we were going to do this, from James Lee Nuttall. And he starts his question actually with something very pertinent, which says, councils are always in the firing line. What's right for one isn't always a good fit for someone else. And he understands that very well. And I think we all do tonight. And I think we'll get some questions that'll test that tonight. But James goes on to ask about Grimfest and responsibilities for heritage and the heritage fund that NELC holds. He also goes on to talk about Freshney Place, so I think we'll probably bring the leader into this one later on. But first we'll go to Councillor Hayden Dawkins, whose portfolio covers this. Hayden.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Mr. Nuttall, for your question. I think the first thing to say on this one is you've mentioned in your question about the 20 places that are heritage places, and we are lucky to be one of those places. And the fact that there's £20 million up for grabs, that doesn't give us £1 million to spend, unfortunately. That's not the way it works. The way it works is them 20 places can put in for funding for various different ideas around the country, and then it'll all be decided by whoever makes the decisions. But the fact is that we are one of those priority areas, and that's the bit that matters. I think it's worth noting that, you know, this authority since 2019, dare I say, has received significant amounts of money, £10 million to be exact. So in the last, 5 or 6 years, we've seen more come into this authority in those 5 years than we've seen in the previous 25 years in the whole. So it's absolutely fantastic. Examples that the heritage places have already contributed towards: Cleethorpes Townscape Heritage Project, or the Doom Project, exploring Cleethorpes natural heritage. Examples of when the funds are given, they must be spent on those particular items. So it's not a case of we're just given a load of money and spend it how we like. You know, it's all about these heritage projects. And what I'd say to you, Mr. Nuttall, is you can apply for funds through Create NEL. And if you go online and Google that, I'm sure you'll be able to find the details. Officers are here to help with those, and, you know, feel free to contact us, and we'll do what we can to help you try and obtain funds for any of these events. Grim Fall Fest is absolutely fantastic, and you know, I'd do everything I possibly can to have that event happen again. And I'm sure everybody sat around this table will completely support us on that, and it's important that we get that back. So I completely support you 100%.
Thank you very much. And in his question, Mr. Nuttall also talked about Freshney Place and what he's heard about some of the things that are happening there. So probably good to bring the leader in again, Councillor Philip Jackson, whose portfolio covers regeneration, to talk about Freshney Place just for a minute or two. Thank you.
Well, Freshney Place is a massive project in the town centre. It's the largest regeneration project that we've actually progressed in North East Lincolnshire, and of course it's all about the repurposing of Grimsby Town Centre to ensure that we have a greater range of uses for the town centre. We attract people in for leisure and other activities rather than being reliant on retail, which we have been up to now in Grimsby. So the whole idea, we've got a new leisure scheme at the western end of Freshney Place. There's going to be new cinema, other leisure offerings, and more food and beverage outlets, as well as a new market hall and food hall. So it's a really exciting project, which is going to make a huge difference to the town centre.
Thank you very much, Leader. We have our first live question in, which I'm very pleased to say, from an Angie Beecham. So thank you, Ms. Beecham. And it's for Councillor Henry Hudson, whose portfolio holder covers the environment. Portfolio, I keep saying portfolio holder, sorry. Portfolio covers the environment. So Councillor Hudson, when you drive into Grimsby on the M180, the laybys are strewn with litter and bins overflowing with rubbish. Can the bins be emptied, as the overall impression is not a good one for Grimsby?
Thank you, Angie, for your question. We do have a schedule of bin emptying in all our laybys. It's done regularly. If there is an overflow, all you need to do is report it to me or any ward councillor, and we can send the team out to get that done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hudson. And while we're waiting for another live question to come in, so please bring them, let us have them if you're listening or involved in this tonight. We'll go on to devolution and the Greater Lincolnshire Combined County Authority, and we'll turn to the leader again for this one. And we have somebody who is Clive Wiltshire, a newcomer to this town, who's saying, please explain in plain English why we need a mayor for the whole of Lincolnshire. Does the present mayor not do their job right? Don't break what isn't broken. And I think the leader will explain the difference between a civic mayor and the elected mayor that we will have come May.
Yes, thank you very much for that question. I think it's a really good question. A lot of people don't understand some of the details around devolution. I think that's very understandable. The new mayor of Lincolnshire is going to be very different to the ceremonial mayors that we have in a lot of the local authorities across Lincolnshire at the moment. So the new mayor will have additional powers which will be devolved down from Westminster, and additional funding which will be coming in that the mayor and the mayoral combined authority can spend across Greater Lincolnshire on projects that we know are important to local people. So this is more funding and more powers coming into the county under the auspices of the new mayor. And of course, the mayor will also act as an advocate for Lincolnshire. So he or she, when elected on the 1st of May, will be in a position where they can talk to government about raise the profile of Lincolnshire, ensure we get additional funding in, and further develop the devolution deal as time progresses. So it is a very different role, and the government has made it very clear that it wants to see mayors across the whole of the country over the next few years, and it sees the mayors as being one of the key routes for additional funding being given to local areas and additional powers being available for those mayors to look after.
Thank you very much, Leader. I'm trying to spread the questions around a bit, so we'll go to Councillor Ron Shepherd now on the topic that is always on everybody's lips about antisocial behaviour and what we're doing with our partners across the borough to try and tackle that. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is in response to Quinn Brumby's request of what are we doing about antisocial behaviour here in North East Lincolnshire. We're working quite well with our partners and other agencies. One of the initiatives that we've had in our town centre is Safer Streets 5, which is an initiative that was run by North East Lincolnshire Council and its partners to reduce crime and antisocial behaviour, making the town centre a more comfortable place to visit. Additionally, theft has been reduced as part of that by 8% and robbery by 43%. In St James Square alone, there's been a drop in alcohol-related antisocial behaviour by 88%, a reduction of 35% in the town centre as well. These are significant figures when we look at how we are operating here in the town centre. We're also working with partner agents to ensure that for future we're able, as we develop Freshney Place and the town centre, to give coverage to the new areas.
Thank you very much, Councillor Shepherd. We'll now go back to the live questions, and another one of our leader, I think, and this is about Top Town Market. It's been in the news over the last week or so. Any updates we have for Top Town Market and the temporary site? So maybe just a moment explaining what's happened there, leader. Thank you.
Yes, the Top Town Market is being moved temporarily into an existing unit within Freshney Place, near to the Riverhead Square end of Freshney Place. So it's going to be an area of high footfall. Now, unfortunately, that won't be available until April. But we are talking to and working with the stall holders in the current market to ensure that we can get them moved into the new premises as quickly as possible. Of course, there will be a new, much larger market hall and food hall as part of the new leisure development at the western end of Freshney Place. So there's a really bright future ahead for the market in Top Town. I think one or two people are assuming that there isn't going to be a market anymore, but there certainly will be. And we've seen how successful these markets and food halls have been up and down the country, where they've been part of new developments in town centres. So we want to ensure that we retain market traders to be able to take their places in the new market hall, and in the meantime we'll be working with them to ensure that we can move them as quickly and as efficiently as possible into the new temporary accommodation at the Riverhead end of Freshney Place.
Thank you very much, and we hope everybody will support them when they get there. Just to let you know, we are prioritising the live questions that are coming in, but we have had questions that have obviously been posted over the last week. These are the live ones that are coming in now. We've got another one now, which will be for Councillor Margaret Cracknell, involving the maintained nurseries that we have in our area. This was an issue that obviously came into the headlines over the last couple of years. And since then, we've certainly had some positive news, certainly about Reynolds Daycare Centre, I believe. But support the survival of maintained nurseries. Do we do that? Is a question from Simon Phillip for Councillor Cracknell.
Thank you very much for the question, and you're quite right. We've had quite a long discussion with our 3 nurseries, particularly over the past, well, nearly a couple of years, certainly 18 months. We have worked very closely with the heads of those settings to ensure that they are financially viable. We've made sure that we've worked closely to maximise marketing opportunities so that the settings are attracting those toddlers and youngsters that are able to access nursery provision. And in fact, we now can attract into those settings very young children, very young toddlers, which has helped with the financial viability of the 3 nurseries. So there has been a very close working relationship with those settings, and I'm pleased to say it's been very positive, and certainly, as you mentioned in the case of Reynolds, quite exceptional progress in terms of the numbers accessing that provision there. So all in all, it's been an exercise that I think has benefited all.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cracknell. Corporation Road Bridge is next. We did have a pre-sent in question from a Damon Griffiths. And we've had an Eddie Swales and a Norman Reeves coming on live saying any more updates on when Corporation Bridge will be open, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for your question. And as we all know, it's been quite a long saga with Corporation Road Bridge, and the exception of what we're experiencing at the moment. But the problem we've had at the moment is waiting for the feasibility report to come back on span 4 of Corporation Road Bridge, which is the lifting mechanism that has been causing us quite a lot of concern. We are actually looking at the 2 options now that's available to us for repairing that span 4, the lifting mechanism, and we're quite confident that this will be addressed in the very near future, and I believe we're still on track for opening in the summer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A very complex project that's been. Another one for Councillor Swinburne. Sorry, Councillor Swinburne, we're keeping you busy. Heather Stranger has come in saying, will the council revert to using an app called Fix My Street? I'm not sure whether you remember this or it was your portfolio at the time, which allowed for quickness for reporting of potholes and street lights, which is a lot quicker than using the council website. This app was in use a few years ago and then the council stopped using it.
Yeah, thank you very much for your question. This was while in a previous administration when we had that particular thing that we was doing with street scene. If there is any problems in any particular street, you're always welcome to actually contact your ward councillor or the council to report any defects that might need doing. At this present time, there's no intention to bring back that scheme, but it's something that I'm prepared to actually look at for the future, and hopefully we might be able to do something later on.
Good, thank you, and very good to hear that people are coming up with things that are actually possibly good initiatives for the future. So thank you, Councillor Swinburne. We'll hop over to tourism again now and Cleethorpes with Councillor Dawkins, if that's okay. We've got a pre-sent-in question from Andrew Clarkson, who talks about the number of tourist attractions in Cleethorpes and how they've reduced over recent years. What is being done to reintroduce some of the attractions, Councillor Dawkins? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Many attractions in Cleethorpes are private sector led, and so we work with various owners to help promote and offer locally in and out of the area. A good example is Cleethorpes Coast Light Railway. Where possible, we recommend the introduction of more leisure tourism activities in new developments such as Pleasure Island, although because they are led by private investors, it's their decision whether or not they do it. Cleethorpes Levelling Up project, specifically Pear Gardens, are a fantastic opportunity for the council to introduce some new attractions into the resort. The designs are still being finalised, but it will include opportunities for skate wheels community, pop-up events, entertainment and exciting new areas for children of all ages. We therefore anticipate the area of Cleethorpes becoming a popular destination in the near future. Cleethorpes Marketplace and the new Sea Road development will also add to that tourism offer. The Meridian Showground, which has seen increased numbers in the last few years, offers an exciting programme of events and forthcoming events for 2025, including Ella Henderson and Docksfest. The venue are looking to increase numbers, which again will help our local area with increased tourism. And as you know, it's not all about Cleethorpes, but 3 miles away is North East Lincolnshire's only accredited museum, the Fishing Heritage Centre, which is now on the TripAdvisor's #1 attraction. And the Time Trap here at the Town Hall is also a great place to visit.
Thank you very much, Councillor Dawkins. Councillor Swinburne, the live questionnaires, questions are keeping you busy tonight. We have another one on your portfolio holder in rough sleepers and homeless people. Why has the government money to help homeless people off the streets been moved to other less important projects? I do believe the Home Options team are looking at ways to use this money, and whether you can elaborate on that at all, Councillor Swinburne.
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. And the council are doing as much as they can for rough sleepers or putting people into temporary accommodation. It's not something that we relish doing, but we have the facilities in place to actually address those. But as soon as they do come away to us, then we do make the provision to actually help these people to get into better accommodation or to stop being rough sleeping. But there are lots of opportunities, and if you know of anybody that is a rough sleeper, they can contact the council, and I'm sure that our homeless section would look at it in favourable light and do as much as they can to help people.
Thank you very much. We now have a question which is the Leaders Portfolio portfolio, I keep getting that wrong tonight, don't I, on regeneration, we had a sent in question from Andrew Clarkson on derelict buildings. And actually, we've just had a Darren Bingham come in, leader, and said, there's been so many projects being announced over the last few years, but nothing ever seems to happen. The cinema in Freshney Place being one, we've talked about that. The slipway, near Cleethorpes Pier, the way overdue Corporation Bridge. Can you just not admit that the town is becoming more of an eyesore, seeing these huge empty buildings increasing year after year? I'm sure you have an answer for that, leader.
Yes, thank you very much for your question. I think you'll agree that there are lots of projects now happening around the town. So an old building that we've had in the town centre, which has been empty for almost a generation, which are the West Havens Maltings, by the side of the River Freshney. They're currently being restored, and that's going to be the new on-side youth zone, which will be opening later on this year, which will be a great facility for young people. We're now actually starting work on the western end of Freshney Place, so that'll be a major scheme. As I mentioned earlier, the biggest regeneration scheme we've seen in North East Lincolnshire. That's going to make a huge difference to the town centre. Another building which was empty for a long time was the St James House in St James Square, of course. That is currently being regenerated by eFactor and is going to be a business and conference centre. So again, another empty building coming back into use. But there are undoubtedly quite a number of empty buildings that we've got, not just in the town centre, but around Grimsby as a whole. And as and when funds become available, we'll ensure that we can do what we can to bring those buildings back into use. Speaking personally, I think it's very important that we retain any old historic buildings that we have within the town centre and in other parts of Grimsby. But of course, you know, we do need to make sure we have the funding to bring them back into use, and we do need to make sure we have sustainable uses for them as well. So, you know, they are all projects in their own right, and we've got a number of them coming back into use now, but we will continue to look at other buildings that we can bring back into use for effective and sustainable activity in the future.
Thank you very much. And we're going to stay with you, leader. We have one from, sorry, let me just go up here a minute because another question's come in. So let me just nip up here. Kevin Child, sorry about that. What is happening with Freshney Square, which I think we know as Riverhead Square? He walks through it and he's quite disappointed to see that there's pebbles all over the pathway and litter in the flower beds after it's been done, with a large number of cigarette butts on the top of the bins. Has a solution been found by the contractor to stop the gravel coming off the beds at their expense?
Yeah, thank you for that question. It's a good question, and we're aware, of course, there have been problems with the pebbles in Riverhead Square, but we have got the contractors back to look at that, and they're supposed to be sorting that out over the next few weeks. Of course, it has to be done when in the right weather conditions to ensure that the fix works properly. So that will be getting sorted out. I think in terms of any litter that's in the town centre and in Riverhead Square, we do need to make sure that we give that particular attention. We'll be doing in the future. Of course, Riverhead Square itself is a great regeneration project. It's one of the first ones we've completed in the town centre, and we will be holding more and more events there. So it's a great event space for people. And we're also increasingly seeing people using it at lunch times to sit out and have in nice weather to have their sandwiches and their lunch. And we're seeing more and more people starting to use it as a social venue. So it will be a great asset to the town centre. But I think you're absolutely right to ask the question that we do need to make sure it's properly maintained as well.
Thank you very much. And I'm sorry, we're going to have to stick with you again, leader, which is one here. You might want to clarify this. It's been in the news over the last month or so. From a Simon Phillip, can you explain who within the council specifically agreed to suspending the local elections in 2025 and 2026? Obviously referring to the government white paper on local government reorganisation. If you can spend a couple of minutes just telling the public what's happened from a North East Lincolnshire Council perspective. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for that question. And I think it's understandable there's been some confusion over it. First of all, it's not in the council's gift to be able to cancel any elections. If elections are to be cancelled in any part of the country, not only in North East Lincolnshire, but anywhere, it's a government decision. And the reason there's been some talk about potentially cancelling or deferring some elections, and I emphasise again that would be a government decision, is because there is potential local government reorganisation coming up, not only for North East Lincolnshire but for other parts of the country as well. The government has said that they want to get rid of the two-tier system that we see in Lincolnshire, across Lincolnshire County Council area and North and North East Lincolnshire, because we are neighbouring authorities could well be affected by that local government reorganisation, and it would seem perverse to be holding elections, routine elections in 1 year, only to have new elections the following year for a completely different reorganised local government area. So that will be a central government decision as to whether or not the elections are postponed, not a decision we will be making in North East Lincolnshire.
Thank you very much. We'll go to one of the pre-sent-in questions now and go to Councillor Hudson again on the environment and ecology. And we have Andrew Clarkson, who actually spoke about tourism before, so very keen on Cleethorpes. Mr. Clarkson asks about what we can do to protect the beach for future generations of family holidays, with things like the salt marsh now encroaching more and more along that beach. If you'd like to take that one, please, Councillor Hudson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Clarkson. Really important question, this one, and I think you need to know that we all are committed to a sandy beach in Cleethorpes. Salt marsh is protected, so we can't just do what we want. We've had to agree a management plan with Natural England. We can't use any chemicals. We can't use any mechanical machinery, so it has to be hand pulled. Now, you will understand that at certain times of the year and the conditions can be quite dangerous and muddy and sticky, so we can't just go out and do it. The resort team are actually responsible for it. They will be hand pulling any salt marsh that has passed the line that we've agreed with Natural England, that sort of runs from the corner of the leisure centre out towards the estuary. And we will all make sure that work is carried out. It might creep over from time to time, but when conditions allow, it'll be removed and we'll take it back to the line. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The live questions are coming in again now. So there's one here for Councillor Swinburne with his portfolio of housing. When will the council consider buying houses currently for sale and let them out to families who need housing? We all do remember those days when there were council houses in every town. Not sure it's the case anymore with social housing, but Councillor Swinburne, if you can offer any answer to that one, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. All our house building types, but it is not the intention of this council to actually take on, council housing again. That was relinquished in 2005 at the time when needed more funds to actually do repair the houses, and that was passed on to a registered local charity, which at the time was Shoreline at the time, but that's now gone by. But in North East Lincolnshire, we currently have 6,889 people on the housing register requesting this sort of process. So the majority of those people are not in any urgent need at the moment, with latest figures showing only 4.3% of these people are in a priority band. But our house building targets within North East Lincolnshire, along with all other local authorities, we are responsible for planning, and that was received under the new National Planning Policy Framework from central government. We can confirm that this has increased the housing build target to 623 a year, which is a hard target to reach, but we are doing everything we can to meet those targets that's been laid down to us by national government. In the meantime, the housing team continues working hard to collaborate through the Housing Developers Forum to deliver the right sort of housing to meet the local needs. Examples for this include the Alexandra Dock housing project in Grimsby, where 130 homes will be delivered by 2026 in the town centre, and the development of 318 homes on the Foreman Western School site. Thank you.
Of course, they're brownfield sites as well. So
yes, that's correct. Yes.
Okay, we've got another live question in from Kevin Marshall, and this will be the leader again, although Councillor Harness, in his responsibility for finance, might want to come in on this one as well. The debt that has been incurred for Freshly Placed project is concerning. The interest on this debt needs financing. How does the council propose to fund these huge additional costs, And is there a danger of bankruptcy? And I'm assuming that some people will not have been reading the press so much over the last few weeks or come into full council where this has been discussed quite a lot. So maybe a brief overview of that would be good, Leader, and from Councillor Harness's point of view of the financial situation going into the next financial year. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I can assure you that there's absolutely no question of bankruptcy for the local authority. Far from it. We've actually got a very positive budget situation currently, and it's looking even better for the forthcoming year. Now, in terms of the costs associated with the Freshly Place scheme, that was examined extremely carefully before we committed ourselves to going ahead with the scheme. Most of the cost of the redevelopment of Freshly Place is being met with government grant funding. But I mean, the question is absolutely right. We are having to borrow some additional money to be able to complete the scheme. But we are very confident with the income that's coming in from Freshly Place at the moment, and the additional income that will come in as a result of the regeneration scheme, that that income will more than meet the borrowing costs that we will have associated with the money that we're having to borrow to be able to undertake the redevelopment. So again, we've been very prudent in terms of the way in which we've assessed the cost of the scheme, and we are confident that we'll be able to meet those costs. I don't want to see the authority borrowing more money than it needs to. I want to see an authority which has responsible borrowing, you know, but it's a bit like the mortgage on your house. If you want to provide the developments that the town wants, which are going to last many years into the future, we do sometimes have to borrow money to enable those projects to go ahead. But we do have very prudent targets in terms of the amount of borrowing that the authority incurs, and we are confident that we will not be exceeding those borrowing targets. And compared with a lot of other authorities up and down the country, we have relatively low levels of borrowing in North East Lincolnshire.
Thank you, Leader. Councillor Harness, I don't know if you want to add anything to that. It's your portfolio, I keep saying that wrong, don't I, tonight? You're going to have to change that word. It's your portfolio, so if you'd like to add to that.
Okay, thank you very much. It is difficult to think of anything else to add to that, I must admit, because it's been answered very well by the Leader. We do have a very good current net operating income from Freshly Place as it is at the moment, and in the future that income, that operating income, is also going to be even more attractive. So the actual cost of extra borrowing will be met by the return from Freshly Place at rent. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Harness. Stick with the Leader now. We've got another question about the temporary market. From a Robbie Whitlock. Why was there no forethought to providing alternative accommodation for the market cafes, considering you are doing a food court in the new development?
Well, yes, it's unfortunate that the unit within Freshly Place that we're moving the temporary market to doesn't have the facilities that a cafe would need. So there's no extraction, for example. Unfortunately, we don't live in an ideal world, and you know, we do need to make progress with this regeneration scheme in Freshly Place. And you know, that does cause disruption, and I'm very sensitive to the concerns of the market traders and the disruption that it's causing. But you know, this is a major regeneration scheme for the town centre, and we do need to make progress with it. I mean, unfortunately, of course, we were unable to commit to any particular premises for to rehouse the market until we knew that full council was definitely going to back the scheme, and we didn't know that until the end of December. And the other issue we've got in Freshly Place, which is a good problem to have, is that the units within Freshly Place, the occupancy rate now is running at about 96% of the units that are going to be available in the future. Obviously, we've got those that are going to be demolished as part of the regeneration scheme. They've been empty for some time, but the other units within Freshly Place, in the active part of Freshly Place, occupation rate is about 96%. So we don't actually have that many units that we're able to offer on a temporary basis. So I accept that from the market trader's viewpoint, it is a potentially difficult situation. But I think we have to look to the future. We're going to have a new market hall, we're going to have a new food hall, and we're going to be looking forward to welcoming market traders back into what we are confident will be a thriving market hub within Freshney Place when the new development opens in 2027.
Very much, Leader. Before we move on to the next live question, I just want to mention to Joyce Tim, who has asked a question again about Grim Fall Fest, obviously a very popular festival. If you go back to the very first question, Councillor Dawkins actually answered that, Joyce, so you'll be able to watch that back later to save time of him answering it quite extensively again. So we'll just tell Joyce that. Another one, I'm sticking with Councillor Dawkins though, and I'm not sure you will know the answer to this question, but I will ask it anyway because it's an interesting one. It's from Eleni Warrington, and it said, why is Dolly Parton's Imagination Library only available in North Lincolnshire and not North East Lincolnshire? Now, I'm not sure you know about this. I did hear about it on the news the other day and it's very popular. So whether it's something you want to take away or not, I don't know.
Well, thank you very much for that question. I don't know where to go with that one, to be perfectly honest with you. I didn't know that it wasn't available here. But I mean, what I can do is I can ask the person who's in charge of the library scenario to give you a response back on that one, if that's all right, because I honestly did not know.
I just thought it was part of the Rotary Club, actually. That I think it is. So I'm not sure whether Cleethorpes or Grimsby Rotary. I think Margaret Cracknell, Councillor Cracknell, knows about this, so let her come in for this one.
Yes, indeed, it's a Rotary initiative. I think there has been for some time, and it's schools that I think actually buy into it. And I do believe we've had 2 schools in North East Lincolnshire that have, I think, trialled or at least have had an input into the Dolly Parton Library. I don't quite know how responsive it's been. It's a wonderful initiative, but it's up to the schools. And of course, a lot of our schools are academies. One hopes that they will buy into it because I think it's successful throughout the whole of the country, really.
Looks like it's something we might be looking into in the future. So thank you for that question. We've got either one that might be Councillor Dawkins or might be the leader again about signage in Cleethorpes. From Kerry L, who says, with Cleethorpes being regenerated, are there any plans to renew the signage along the boating lake? Some signs point by towards things that do not exist, i.e. the Jungle Zoo, and the signs are old and tired. So I'm not sure which of you wants to take that question.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind answering this question at all because it's one of the things I've asked officers to look at. So they are looking at signage throughout the resort. And obviously, with the new developments that are happening in Cleethorpes, they will be included in that signage as well. So, but it is something we know about and we are looking at sorting out.
Thank you very much. And we're sticking with Cleethorpes, but going to the leader this time. And it's a good question from Anne Smith, who wants to know when the work in Cleethorpes is due to start. Her understanding was that it was due to start at the beginning of this year, but it's been delayed until the autumn. I'm not sure that's quite right. How will this work be completed in time so that the funding is not withdrawn, Leader?
Yes, thank you, Anne. That's a good question. We have already started work, of course, on the new iconic building near to the seafront there. I think if you go down to Cleethorpes, you'll see work has started on that site, and we're also close to starting work as well on the marketplace in Cleethorpes. And we're currently making progress on putting plans together for Pier Gardens. So we are confident that all these schemes, once they start, will deliver within the timescale that we have with the government grant funding. Listeners will probably remember that we've got £18.4 million of levelling up funding for Cleethorpes for these 3 major schemes. Across the resort, which are really going to boost tourism and the tourism offering across the resort. We are probably going to have a bit of an issue later on this year in that we'll have a lot of work going on all 3 schemes at the same time. But unfortunately, you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs. And I hope people will stick with us and you know, these are 3 very exciting, important projects for Cleethorpes. And we need to make sure we get them delivered as quickly as possible to make sure we can spend the money within the time envelope that we have from government.
Thank you very much, Leader. We've now got 2 other live questions, so they're coming in nicely now. Thank you very much to everybody. One from Simon Phillip and one from Amati Sate. Simon Phillip is talking about the Freshney Valley. Are you for or against building significant numbers of housing on land that was recently flooded? Which kind of links to the next question about housing in the town centre, which is there more information on new building construction for housing next to the new youth development Horizon? Is there any further information on this? So I don't know whether this is Councillor Swinburne or the leader on both these issues of housing development on greenfield sites and brownfield sites. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. First of all, on Freshney, on that particular area, it will be looked at if there's any planning application comes in for housing on that site, and then it will be looked at in the same process as any public application for planning. On the other side of things, and can you just remind me on that second part?
My apologies. The other one was about the Horizon Youth Zone and the housing development,
Yeah.
which probably is the
I think
leader.
the leader might be able to get more on that because it's well underway now with the youth project on there. But if the leader might have some more information to add to that.
Yes, we've got a scheme now which a company called Keep Motor are going to deliver for us and put a planning application in for 123 new homes on Garth Lane. So this is the area immediately behind and at the side of the on-site youth zone. So this is a really exciting development for the town centre. I talked earlier about needing to do more different things in the town centre, and this is the first time for over a generation that we've built any new housing in Grimsby town centre. And if you've had an opportunity to have a look on the council website at the artist's impression and for the planning application for this development, it is a very exciting development. For some reason or another in Grimsby for many years, we almost turned our backs on the water, on the Alexandra Dock. This is an opportunity for us to develop housing in the town centre, which will make use of the waterfront. I think this is going to be really attractive and exciting development. It's going to bring more people into the town centre, which is going to help to support retail in Grimsby, but it's also going to provide more customers for the various leisure facilities that we're developing across the town centre. So it's one of the exciting projects in the centre of the Grimsby, which is going to lead to the revival of the town centre.
Town centre is certainly a very hot topic on this Q&A tonight. We've got another one from Sharon Houghton, who has suggested the old BHS store would have been better for the market to move into. I don't know whether you've got a reasoning for why that wasn't decided upon, Leader.
Well, yes. I mean that's a good question. The reason we can't put the market into the old British Home Stores building currently is because that building is part of the redevelopment of the western end of Freshney Place. So that the British Home Stores building has been completely stripped out, and once the redevelopment starts, that will be a key part of it. The new market hall and food hall will actually be located within the old British Home Stores building, but of course the whole of the development won't be completed until 2027. So that wouldn't be a location that we could use for the market in the short term, unfortunately.
Thank you very much. We'll go to some of the pre-entered questions now, and Councillor Swinburne had a number from a gentleman called Philip Newton. Thank you to Mr. Newton for sending these in. There were 3 or 4 questions all around various transport issues for Councillor Swinburne. So if Councillor Swinburne would like to reply to them, or indeed say that he might need just some more investigation on some of these because some of them are quite complex, I shall let Councillor Swinburne answer. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Newton, for your questions. And as we've already pointed out through tonight, we have only a short period of time to answer a lot of these questions, and we only got roughly around about an hour. So I have had a chance to look at all your questions, and I'm prepared to actually ask officers to reply back to you with an answer to each of your questions within 7 working days. But some of these questions that you've asked are things that I've already been looking at. And, you know, within the one that you've asked there about the traffic lights at Ryby Square, Humber Street and Park Street, that is something we're looking at to try and rectify with extra money from the BSIP, money that was allocated through central government, and that's the bus service improvement plan. So there are money available for that to actually look into some of those things. For all you talk about the bus pull-ins for buses along Grimsby Road, we are looking at actually extending the bus lanes on that particular area. So there will be more things to follow in the near future. But on all of your other questions, I will get officers to reply with a definitive answer for you within 7 days.
Thank you, Councillor Swinburne. Please keep your microphone on, because the next question we have is from Heather Stranger, who says, oh no, sorry, that's a different one. Sorry, that's one's come in since then. Let's go back. Well, that is for you as well, Councillor Swinburne. We'll go back to Sarah Jane Giles. Why are a lot of the pavements sloped around Grimsby and not built level in the first place? I think there is something on the website. I think there is a report mechanism on our website, Sarah Jane Giles, for anything that you do report, but Councillor Swinburne may have a view on that this evening.
Really, I can't comment on why there was built like that in the first place, but you know, it must go back a long way. But just give you an idea on the procedure that we have within North East Lincolnshire and the Highways Department. Footpaths are regulated under a 12-year programme, and we do have a regular annual programme of slurry sealing on a lot of the footpaths. But if there's a particular area that is inspected and falls within that range, then I'm sure that we can address it on a more urgent issue. But at the moment, if you've got an issue with a particular area that you are concerned about, please report it on the NLC website with the Highways Department, and somebody will look at it quite urgently to see whether it needs rectifying earlier than the programme alleviates to.
I'm glad you're keeping your microphone on, because the next one's for you as well. I hope I've pronounced Heather's name correctly. Heather Stranger, I think. I don't know if I pronounced it correctly. I hope so. Talking about the roads at the Scather Top development, is there any progress on a road from Scather Top to Bradley? One main entrance and exit to Scather Top is not good planning now, given the size of Scather Top, or is it Scartho? I'm never quite sure, but I say Scather. I'm not sure whether Councillor Swinburne can answer this, and I know we've got a ward councillor as well as a cabinet member for Scartho or Scather in here tonight as well, so not sure who wants to take that.
Well, this has been an issue, obviously, since the development started some, what is it now, 20, 30, 40 years ago with Scather Top. But it's something that the planning department are aware of, and I think there's negotiations already taking part with the developers of that particular project on Scatho Top. But as far as I'm aware, that is something that's planned for the future. It's something that will be looked at once the development is completely finished. But unless Councillor Shepherd, as the ward councillor, has any other information on that particular issue, I'm sure it's something that we will try and find out a little bit more information on and get back to the lady with that question.
Thank you very much. We had a question that came in earlier today from Tony Hutton, and it's probably Councillor Dawkins again, although I'm not sure. Interesting one, who talks about, simple question, is you had money for years now from the Changing Places programme. I don't recall that in my time here, but she goes on to, Tony goes on to say, what on earth is happening with the Pleasure Island site? You promised as a council time after time action and diggers will start, but there's just empty promises and expensive plans. I think from that point of private development, you might want to clarify what's happening there. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, the Pleasure Island site is obviously a private development, and we don't have, we don't have any say as to when or if that'll ever start. I would hope it does. As far as the Changing Places is concerned, I mean, I don't know about that funding, to be fair, but what I would say is there is a Changing Places going in at the new Sea Road development in Cleethorpes, and I believe there's also another one going in Grimsby Town Centre on that development. So we are making progress on those, and any opportunity we can to put Changing Places in, we will do, because we understand that they are required.
Thank you very much. We've got one back at the Garth Lane housing, which is the Alexandra Dock site, and parking. So Councillor Swinburne, this may be one for you. Another one from Kevin Childs. Thank you, Kevin. Looking at the plans for the housing on Garth Lane, it takes up the car parking for the offices and the Fishing Heritage Centre. What parking is going to be out in place to support these businesses?
I think on this particular question, I'm going to ask the leader to answer on that, because I think he's more aware of the situation with the parking.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not sure it's all that parking that the questioner asked is being taken up by the new development. There will still obviously be a fair amount of car parking left in that area. With regard to the development itself, of course, with it being in the town centre, we're hoping that quite a few people who live there will perhaps not actually feel the need to own their own vehicles, because obviously they'll be able to walk into the town centre. They'll be very near to all the bus routes and the railway station. So, you know, we're looking for that development to be as sustainable as possible. But I believe there's going to be one car parking space for each property. But there is, you know, still a lot of other car parking left around that part of the town centre.
Thank you very much. I'm going to stick with car parking and flick over to Abby Walk. Actually, I can't. It was pre-sent in question, and I will get you the name of the person who sent it in, but I'm just looking for it. But I do distinctly remember there being a question about Abbey Walk car park and Councillor Swinburne and the future of that, and was it the right idea to actually demolish the car park?
Yeah, thank you very much for your question on Abbey Walk car park. I do have a bit of information on that. And it's let me just get the right paperwork that I've got highlighted to that. As you can understand, there's that many questions.
Well, Councillor Swinburne is looking at his question. That came in from Kerry Henderson. So just so you know, and it was, do you feel it was right a decision to agree to the demolition of Abbey Walk car park?
Yep.
Councillor
Got it
Swinburne,
now. I have got that, Kerry. Thank you very much for your question. And I do feel that it was the right decision that we took at the time for the demolition of it. We must realise that Abbey Walk car park was actually a facility that was built in 1969 and has simply reached the end of its usable life. Cost of repairs would have been phenomenal compared to demolition, and it gives us the opportunity to actually make it part of our wider town centre plans to replace with 120 space redirected from from the space service car park. Alongside this work, to investigate the options of parking surveys being carried out in the town centre, and we know there are underused car parks such as Burgess Street, and we are looking at improvements there to help address the immediate demand. I can reassure you also on the preservation of the artwork by artist and sculptor Harold Gosney. We have contacted Lincoln University to discuss that, and we are in further talks with them to make sure that we do everything we can to keep hold of those artefacts.
Thank you, Councillor Swinburne, and please keep your microphone on. We're keeping you busy tonight. Joe McCabe, it's an interesting question just about car parking at the hospital and plans to increase it, but I think it's worth people knowing that the difference between a car park at the hospital and a public council-owned car park. So,
yeah, obviously the car park at the Diana Princess of Wales is not in the control of the local authority, and that's down to the trust that operates that particular facility. So any questions you may have relating to that, any concerns, I suggest that you direct it to the Diana Princess of Wales and the Goulburn Health Trust.
Thank you very much. We flip back to the leader now, and I'm not sure, this is a bit of a test of your memory, Councillor Jackson, because Jane Allen is saying, what was the percentage of votes for the devolution proposal and how many against? Now, I'm not sure you will remember that, and we can get those figures to her within the next couple of days.
Well, there wasn't actually a vote on it by the local population. There was a consultation about devolution, and before the government gave us permission to proceed with the Greater Lincolnshire devolution deal, they had to be satisfied that the public consultation had been undertaken properly and thoroughly, and that there was a sufficient level of support across Greater Lincolnshire as a whole for the devolution deal. I'm pleased to say that earlier on this year, actually towards the end of last year, we were given permission to proceed with the devolution deal across Greater Lincolnshire. So clearly the government was satisfied with the consultation process.
The leader is quite right. It wasn't a vote. It was a consultation. It ran, I believe, from January to March 2024. And I think, Jane, the results actually are on the North East Lincolnshire Council website still, but we can get those to you within the next couple of days. We flip back to Councillor Shepherd now, specifically on crime and ASB in the town centre. We've got a question from Hazel Lyle. Hope I pronounced that right again. What else is planned to tackle crime and ASB in the town? And I know we've had some very successful days of action, but I know you've been heavily involved in that, so I'll let you answer that one.
Thank you, Hazel. There are a wide range of activities that we're planning with our partners. When I say our partners, we're talking about working with police and other agencies. Grimsby Town Centre in particular has been one of those areas that has been blighted over the years with a variety of antisocial behaviour issues that we've tackled really head on. When we came into administration, one of the things that was asked of us was tackle antisocial behaviour. We've delivered on that. You've seen the results that antisocial behaviour is down. Working with groups now like 2025 groups, we are prepared now for the future and look and what we've got in place, that I assure you that we will tackle antisocial behaviour head on, and anybody that is prepared to challenge will be issued fixed penalty notices if they are breaking the laws in the town centre.
Thank you very much. Another one for Councillor Swinburne, but the whole Cabinet might have a view on this one actually. From Heather Stanger again, and again I hope I pronounced that correctly. Have the council looked at making town centre car parking free to encourage users to come into the town centre, like places such as Meadow Hall and the Trafford Centre?
Thank you for your question. This is something that I've been in favour of, and obviously it's a thing that we will be discussing with Cabinet, but at the present time we have the car parking strategy that is being reviewed again at the moment, looking at all that sort of thing. And we do understand that there are various options around the country where people do get 1 or 2 hours free parking. It's something that me, on a personal note, I'm in favour of, but whether I can get my Cabinet colleagues to agree to something like that, is going to be a difficult one at the time. But as I said, the parking review is under place, and that will be part of the review, I'm sure.
Thank you. And I think the leader wants to come in again on that one and add something as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think in an ideal world, of course, we would like to be able to see free parking. But of course, you know, there is a cost associated with that. Car parks don't come free of charge; they have to be maintained. What research shows up and down the country is it's more to do with ensuring that the town centre offering is the right one in terms of getting people into the town centre, and this is the whole basis of the current regeneration schemes and the projects that we've got across Grimsby Town Centre to make Grimsby a much more attractive place that people want to come into and use and visit. And you know, a question was asked earlier from Councillor Swinburne, Stuart Swinburne, about car parking in general in the town centre. You know, we do need to make sure we've got adequate car parking. That's part of the reason that we've got a car parking review going on at the moment, because we've got to make sure that we're able to, as we attract more people into the town centre, that we've got the car parking available. But I think it's more about having the right offering in the town centre. Having the right facilities that people want to come in and use. And it also ties in with what Ron Shepherd was saying a few moments ago about the atmosphere in the town centre. We've got to make sure that people feel safe in the town centre at the same time as doing the redevelopment work. And that's why it's so important that we've got various projects to reduce antisocial behaviour and make people and convince people that the town centre is a safe place to come and visit.
Thank you very much. I think we'll have a Cabinet Live on car parking next time, because we've got another one that many of the Cabinet members might have a view on, from Anna M. Ashford, who says other seaside towns have free parking on the seafront during off-peak months. I think Councillor Dawkins might have something to say to this in his capacity for the visitor economy, thus supporting the local businesses who need year-round trade to survive. Has this been considered, and if not, can it be considered, please? I don't know who wants to answer that. There might be a couple of you have a view on that. So.
Yeah, so I'll just take that one up at the moment, because obviously car parking comes under my portfolio. I don't think it's, I don't know of any other actually seaside resorts that actually give free parking down the seafront, which obviously that is one of the main reasons for charging, is for the maintenance and side of the seaside resort in itself. So it's not something that we've looked at to give free parking in the resort, but we are in partnership actually with the parking development to actually make sure that we are competitive with other areas, looked at when done benchmarking for other areas for car parking in the resort, and we believe that we do offer good value for money for the residents there or the people that come into the resort.
Councillor Dawkins, I don't know whether you want to add to that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I support what Councillor Swinburne said, really. I mean, anybody that visits Cleethorpes out of season will see that the parking spaces are pretty full as it is down the North Prom, Central Prom areas in particular. So I don't think making them free would make any difference to anything really, except for obviously the costs. But like he says, you know, we run on a very tight budget at the council, and we can't give everything away, unfortunately. I wish we could, but we can't. We've got to be realistic, and to maintain Cleethorpes and etc. We need the income, to be fair.
And we have another one. I think this is a problem countrywide as we're looking to ditch petrol cars and take up electric ones, as Sarah Jane Giles asks. But there is barely any locations to charge them in North East Lincolnshire. Are there any updates on lamppost charging in the nearer future, or indeed increasing the number of EV charges in popular areas?
Yeah, thank you very much for your question. We do have a programme of EV charging points that we're going to be installing throughout the borough. And we are talking at the moment with various organisations about the areas that we've done. We've done a consultation on in North East Lincolnshire to find out where people think that might be better off with EV charging points, is off-street car parking, EV charging. So there is a programme of work going on, and we're hoping to install 56 within the next few months anyway within North East Lincolnshire, with a view to actually rolling out for 600 and odd in the next 3 to 4 years.
Thank you very much. Going back to Grimsby Town Centre and the leader again here, and the new E-Factor building, we've got a question from Matty Sate again. Thank you, Matty. Is there any update on future of the development on the Enterprise building next to St James's Church and St James's Hotel? Leader, I think you know.
Yes, my understanding is that the first phase of that redevelopment should be opening within the next few months. So that'll be really exciting. It'll be another diverse use within the town centre, attracting a different group of people in, which obviously will support other businesses across the town centre. So I know work is progressing very well with that particular scheme, and I think it's going to be a huge improvement for that part of the town centre when E-Factor opens that building for use within the next few months.
Thank you very much. It is now 7:31, so we are closing questions on the Facebook Live. We are going to finish off with a couple that we've got here. Actually, and what I want to do is flick up to this one, because we had a pre-prepped question that came in, somebody who sent one in earlier today. I think it was the final question. Sorry about this, I'm just flicking down. Saying, Peter Reynolds actually said, when is there going to be more accountability and transparency from this cabinet? I'll let you all answer that one if you want. And we do have some actual questions that came in live tonight that actually suggest that doing things like this does make it more transparent and accountable. So that's good news, but I'll let the leader have his view on that one.
Well, I think we are transparent and accountable as a cabinet. The fact that we're doing this tonight, I think, is one indication. But we have our monthly cabinet meetings in the town hall. Anybody can come along and listen in to what's happening at cabinet meetings. They're advertised on the council website. Members of the public can also come along to full council meetings. We have 5 full council meetings each year, and you can actually ask questions on notice at full council meetings to members of the cabinet. Of course, we are all elected members in our own right, so we have to stand for election every 4 years. So again, we go out and on a regular basis meet people on the doorstep and talk to people. Of course, we're also accountable to other members of the council. We have what's called a scrutiny process within the council. We have 5 scrutiny panels who regularly look at the work which is being undertaken by the cabinet, and also make suggestions to the cabinet about other things that they might want to see undertaken across North East Lincolnshire. But we are, as cabinet members, responsible to our other non-cabinet members within the council for the actions that we take as cabinet members. So there are a whole range of different ways in which we're scrutinised and which members of the public can get involved in what we do.
Thank you very much. Before I end it, sorry, yes, you can. Sorry, Councillor Swinburne.
Yeah, I just think it's fair that I should just actually back the leader up on what he's just been saying there, because we are as transparent as we can be, and we're always going to get criticised. You know, whatever we do, we will get criticised, but we have to believe that we are open and transparent with the public in everything that we do. And as the leader's pointing out, there are various options for people to contact this council or the cabinet to get in touch with any relevant questions they've got. But also just to remind people, there are 15 wards within North East Lincolnshire, and every one of those wards holds a regular monthly ward surgery where people can go along and meet their ward councillors and raise any concerns or issues relating to their particular ward. And I advise people to actually take that option up and make sure that they're worded or they're listened to.
Any other cabinet members would like to add to that, or just simply agree with both Councillors Jackson and Swinburne? Councillor Harness.
Thanks for the question. Yeah, I think we're as open and transparent as we possibly can be. I know from my portfolio with finance, all the documents that I read, the spreadsheets, are all public documents. Some are a little bit dry, and some are very difficult to get into the depth of them, but they are there for the public to interrogate. And then obviously our finances are audited. As a body, we have audit and governance that actually scrutinise the process of finance. So I think, and we do actually occasionally get requests to provide more information, to change the spreadsheets, to change the information within our reports, and we're open to doing that. And I can think of a number of occasions recently where we have done that. So there's more information. The problem you've got, the more information, the more time it takes for people to read and the effort to read. But I believe we are as transparent as we possibly can be. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Harness. Got a couple of things to finish. Simon Phillips says, can I say a massive thank you to the Cabinet for this? Transparency is everything. Thank you. I think the live questions for a period of time at full council would be fab. Say 30 minutes. Is that possible as a council at full council? So I'll let the leader, he's putting his microphone on already.
Well, of course, we do currently have an arrangement at full council where members of the public can submit questions beforehand and then come along and ask those questions at the meeting. I think it's better that those sort of questions are put in writing beforehand, so that we can give as full a response as possible to those questions. We are currently undertaking a review of the council's constitution, and that will also include the way in which full council operates. So you know, it may be that we can extend the amount of time that we can provide for public questions at full council, but I'm not giving any particular undertaking on that at this stage. That's something that is being looked at by a cross-party working group within the council. But certainly I think, I mean, I'm hoping that we will do more of these Facebook Live sessions like we have done this evening, because this is the first time that we've done one. We have had a number of sessions in the past, what we've called Meet the Cabinet, where you've been able to come along to the town hall, whether it be in Grimsby, Cleethorpes or in Immingham, and talk to cabinet members. But we thought this might be a more effective way of keeping in touch with the public, and certainly my impression of tonight is it's been a success, and hopefully we'll be able to do it again. And I'd just like to take the opportunity to thank everybody who has submitted a question this evening, whether they put it in writing beforehand or have contacted us during the event itself. I'll take the opportunity now to apologise to those to whom we haven't been able to give an answer, and we will, as I said at the beginning, we do have an undertaking to make sure we get back to you within 7 days of this event with an answer. But this does also provide an opportunity for members of the public to call in with their ideas, and obviously we've been listening to what you've been saying tonight, and we will discuss some of the issues that have been brought forward, and hopefully that will influence the way we move forward as a council in the future.
I think Matty Sate as well said thank you for tonight. Worth note taking, is it worth doing a Q&A on a monthly or quarterly basis? So following on from what you said, Leader. And finally, I think we have had more than 80 questions through and around 70 people watching. So thank you. I know some of the questions have been individual questions, so we're going to actually go through them all and make sure we answer everybody, because some had more personal questions that needed one-to-one answering. So unless from the back of the room I hear there is anything else, thank you very much for your time tonight, and thank you for listening and asking questions, and I'm sure we'll see you all again soon. Thank you.